Hi, I'm Ken Pyle with VOD View and VOD TV, and today we're here with Brian Martin, CEO and Chairman of 8x8, Sue Hayden, Executive Vice President of Polycom, and Ira Weinstein of Wainhouse Research. Thank you all for being here. So, video conferencing, we've done these things before. It's nothing new. 8x8's been involved in this since really almost the beginning of video conferencing time. So, can you tell us something significant about the virtual room service and why you believe the timing is right for this offering?
Yeah, so thanks, Ken. You're absolutely right. The name 8x8 goes back to, it used to be the basic building block of video compression. Now there's 4x4 blocks and 2x4 blocks and all sorts of other sneaky things used out there. But what we announced today was a service that integrates the 8x8 virtual office suite of services for voice and video communications with some Polycom, really a whole spectrum of Polycom equipment, from very low-end room conferencing equipment up to some of their telepresence equipment. And we integrate these endpoints with the 8x8 service so that instead of having to worry about network protocols, things like H.323, things that have always made video conferencing equipment a little more challenging for end users to use, we are giving them phone numbers that people know how to dial and bringing them into the world of voice over IP and video over IP using our turnkey services. So a customer that buys some Polycom equipment no longer needs to go to a long distance carrier to bring in dedicated circuits for that equipment. They can simply go on the web and sign up via a monthly subscription. And it's a flat rate subscription between $99 and $499 a month, and be able to utilize that equipment in conjunction with their business phone services, their mobile phones, their unified communications, and be able to do it in a turnkey fashion that makes it very simple. At the click of a button, click of a mouse, we can start a conference like the one we're in right now.
So what size business are you targeting with this service?
8x8 serves a variety of businesses. So we go down to a one-person real estate agent that might just work off of a smartphone in his or her car, all the way up to Fortune 500 types of companies that deploy us in a distributed fashion. Our base of customers tends to be smaller sizes of businesses who frankly have not been able to afford to buy their own dedicated multi-point kind of conferencing gear and services such as the one that we're using. And so by repackaging this in a price point with a flat monthly subscription rate and also giving it that turnkey ease of use, we can literally enable that real estate agent to show a home using a setup like we're using here today. It's something that's now very affordable to that very small end of the market.
Well, and typically hasn't the larger enterprise customers been kind of the target market for these types of services?
Yeah, I think it has. I think it's just been, larger types of enterprises are the ones that can afford the dedicated rooms, and, telepresence has been a big topic in the industry the last few years. And you're literally talking about investing millions of dollars to set up one of these Fortune 500 types of solutions. What we're doing is saying with a credit card and $100 to $500 a month subscription, you can basically get that same capability. And you don't even need to have the video conferencing gear if you just want to use a web browser with a web camera hooked into it, or the smartphone that's sitting in your pocket with its camera built into it. That user can now join into the conference, be seen by everyone in the conference and see everyone else in the conference. And it really enables a very small type of business, again, that same enterprise class functionality.
Yeah, so it's evolved really from our first conversations, it sounds
yes. Like. Yeah, no, it has quite a bit.
So Sue, I know Polycom has been involved in selling video conferencing systems for years. I saw some pretty impressive demos for the larger customers. Can you tell me what you've learned about these systems and how users are incorporating video conferencing in kind of their day-to-day business?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Obviously, we have a long legacy in providing video solutions to all kinds of companies across a wide variety of industries. Companies like Brian mentioned, the Fortune 500, but we also have customers that have a much smaller footprint. And across the board, what you would find is that what they have in common is this. They have a very different way of wanting to collaborate and communicate, not only to drive physical airline costs or travel costs down in order to be able to have the kind of conversation we're having here today, but to really change the way the work is done, to drive productivity, to have a more satisfying collaboration experience, to share content, to be able to look at one another and identify, yes, we're on the same page, or no, we're not necessarily sure we agree. So to have that kind of visual experience that allows us to ensure that we really are having a very productive and collaborative session. So we're seeing businesses of all sizes across a wide variety of industries start to have the desire and a high priority for that type of collaboration. And as Brian said, now whether it's a smartphone, a desktop, or room system, you have the ability to have all of these different devices through standards and interoperability to be able to communicate so that anyone, anywhere, on any platform, whether it's within my company or across my supply chain, has the ability to communicate and connect. And so we're seeing that adoption rate really increase, and we're excited about the kind of services that 8x8 are providing because it gives even those smaller companies yet another deployment option and a way for them to get access to business-grade, world-class solutions at a really affordable price point.
Well, and that kind of leads to the cost of the hardware and the technical expertise to install and support the devices that I'm looking at here. Is that part of the solution that you're finding? Simplifying that?
Well, we can actually communicate with anyone across a wide variety of devices. I'm speaking to you today through a very affordable, what we call a VVX phone, which is a voice video integrated phone. But we could also be on a webcam, on a desktop. We could be on a smartphone. So there are very affordable endpoints and ways for us to connect beyond the dedicated conference rooms and room systems that may have historically been out there before. So as those endpoints continue to be very affordable and accessible, they give a great option for being able to drive additional adoption of this kind of communication.
So what do you see as 8x8's role in kind of bringing these together then?
Well, from our point of view, it's yet another deployment option for our customers, especially those that are looking for an on-demand or as-a-service kind of approach and a very affordable OpEx model that allows them to have a very predictable cost model every month. So it gives yet another way for them to access business-grade, high-quality, secure, interoperable, business-grade communications capabilities like the one we're experiencing here without having to necessarily worry about infrastructure, worrying about the IT resources that they might have needed to make sure all the connections work, to make sure we have the right bandwidth and performance. They can essentially rely on 8x8's expertise to be able to handle all of that for them, and they get to concentrate on a terrific Polycom-enabled user experience. So we're really excited about this alternative for our customers.
So Ira, you and your company, Wayne House Research, have been following the video conferencing industry for years now. Why hasn't video conferencing taken off sooner or in a bigger way?
We've been following video conferencing since about 1999, and the good news is it has already taken off. So video conferencing is in use by thousands and thousands of organizations around the world every day. The challenge is it's typically in use in the boardroom, in the meeting room, in the conference rooms down the hall. What we have not been able to do is bring it to the masses, bring it to people's offices and their desks and their home offices, bring it to Soho workers. And there are a couple of reasons for that. The primary reason from our perspective is really complexity. This is a technological system that requires a lot of infrastructure and a lot of technology to make it work well, to give you the reliable, high-quality experience we're having here. And expecting an end-user organization to buy this technology, deploy this technology, and manage this technology has naturally pushed it away from small to mediums and into the larger organizations. Organizations with IT departments and teams who can do this. So what we're seeing now, and looking at this solution, for example, this combination of Polycom systems and 8x8 back-end service, is we're providing the experience without the barrier or the back-end burden of running a video conferencing ecosystem. So you get the visual collaboration without the baggage or the luggage, if you will.
Well, and I guess if I were, well, I'm a small business, but as a small business, do they ask, you know, what's the necessity for having video conferencing? Is that a question that you see asked?
Sure. We have a lot of people who ask us, you know, why should I use video conferencing? Or a lot of people, they tend to fall back to, well, I use video conferencing instead of travel, which from our perspective is kind of old school. Yes, video conferencing may keep me from flying to a different location, but the real value proposition here is not avoiding travel. The value proposition is connecting. It's bonding. It's teaming with people. It's getting more done in a more effective way without having to leave your office. It's letting people work where they are and where they want to work. Like today, for example, I'm based in Fort Lauderdale, but today I'm in Philadelphia. We're having a face-to-face meeting from a hotel meeting room in Philadelphia. 10 minutes to set up, and we're having a great discussion. That's what video is about. It's about a high-impact, interactive, face-to-face communication session where you are, when you need it, and how you need it. And that's a big change from years ago when you went to the video meeting room. Now we're bringing the meeting room to the people. Big change.
So is cost an impediment for deploying it then, or?
Well, cost is always an impediment for any technology tool, but the beauty of video conferencing is the payback is often immediate. That one face-to-face meeting with that important client that you would not have had without video, and you've paid for the system. You know, that one ability to persuade your client or to bond with your team, and there's really no way of measuring that amazing ROI. It's faster time to market. It's faster R&D, it's decreased cost. So the cost of the equipment is one thing. The total cost of ownership, certainly, which the 8x8 team is helping us with here through this monthly service. But the real discussion is about the payback. And video has a great payback.
Well, and what about, and we kind of talked about this off camera, but the whole participant accessibility and using it?
Yeah, every business tool, the value you get from the tool is based on the experience, but also the accessibility. You know, cell phones, they caught on when they became small and high power. That's when these really caught on. So by bringing the quality of experience to the people, by bringing it to them in their office, and especially by making it as easy to use as a telephone, like we have here, we're pushing away a lot of these fear factors and a lot of these barriers and making it a comfortable, accessible experience. And that's what you need for any business tool to take off. So we've had these technologies before. This combination of a high-performance endpoint or device, if you will, with a back-end service just makes it affordable and deployable in ways that we haven't seen before.
Brian, we're hearing a lot about the cloud these days. And in fact, I was at your facility a couple of weeks ago and interviewing Andy. And the question is, from a reliability and quality standpoint, what can someone expect running video conferencing services like this over the public internet?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because we've been a service provider in the space for more than 10 years now, using the public internet as a vast part of the transport that we do. And these backbones and these technologies and the ability to conceal missing packets both in a voice and a video stream have gotten really, really good. And so, we deploy with written SLAs, which are service level agreements to our customers, between 4 nines and 5 nines. The industry hasn't quite gotten to 5 nines. But what we hear from our customers is they find the services to be much more reliable than what they had before, which might have been an aging PBX, or if it's a small business, it might be a cobbled together kind of home voice over IP type of service. Could be a business that just runs off of smartphones and cell phones. And so the convenience of getting back to having a state-of-the-art voice and video solution like the one that we're offering in concert with the Polycom equipment really lets those businesses move from that kind of homegrown phone system or that aging PBX that's off support and really not in the market anymore. And suddenly you've got high definition voice and you've got high definition video, messaging capabilities that weren't there before, call recording capabilities, and the reliability that goes along with that makes you immediately forget that you've outsourced these services to a turnkey service provider like 8x8 because it just works. You plug it in and it works every day. And we make sure and monitor these services 24/7, 365. So if there is a fiber cut in your neighborhood that's out of your control, that we can route around that and do other measures to make sure that your dial tone and your video services continue.
Well, and you gave the small realtor example earlier, and question would be, what sort of bandwidth does that person or small office need to support this kind of service?
Yeah, so the great thing about this industry is bandwidth has evolved so much that no one even asks that question anymore. But to answer it, the video service that we're using here today starts at about 384 kilobits per second. And we go all the way up to a couple megabits to do a full telepresence, kind of Hollywood Squares type of presentation. Obviously, that type of bandwidth is readily available to any size business with even the wireless technologies that are out there, things like Sprint and Clearwire's networks. You can get multi-megabit wireless solutions. So you could actually be sitting, floating on a boat somewhere on battery power and be doing the same type of connection. And so bandwidth has become a thing of the past. I mean, I remember the days when we would ship an IP phone to a customer and they would say, hey, the plug on the back of this is too big. And we'd say, oh, do you not have high-speed internet? And they'd go, no, I just have, dial tone or dial-up type of service. But those days are long gone. The credit card companies replaced all of their processing machines a couple years ago with IP equivalents because they didn't want to pay to run these modem pools anymore. So sure. IP is everywhere. It's in the device that's in your pocket typically, and the bandwidth requirements for our voice and video services are actually quite small.
Well, and getting it back to kind of the business case for it, how do you see the challenge of getting someone past the hurdle of that $99 or $4.99, whatever the number is, that monthly fee? How do you get them past that inertia?
Yeah, I agree with what Ira said in terms of the value, but at the end of the day, we're still in a struggling economy. ROI is very important to these customers. In our voice business, a customer will actually break even on the IP phones that they have to buy up front. Typically in 2 to 3 months, the customer is actually making money at that point. On a video service like this, with $100 to $500 a month subscription, the moment that you actually do skip that first plane ticket purchase, you're already in the black. You're already saving money, and you're having a better experience because of the technologies that are there. And so, versus I'm sitting in a boardroom here that has a higher end HDX 8000 system from Polycom in it. And in the old days, to justify that CapEx investment, a company would really have to look across a department or across the company, say, how much money are we going to save per year? When's this thing going to pay for itself? And so it's great to be in an era where you can literally just pull out, as a single user, pull out a credit card and say, I'm going to sign up to a $100 a month service, and I know that I'm immediately saving the company money because I know I'm going to save a couple plane tickets. And like Ira said, you can actually do more video contact with customers you wouldn't have otherwise gotten on that plane because you can ship them a VVX phone or call 8x8 and we'll ship a VVX IP phone over to that important customer. And if they can plug an Ethernet connection into the back of that phone, simply unplug their computer and plug it into the phone will come to life and you'll be in that video call. That's a customer that you might not have otherwise made the face-to-face connection with. And so, I think the ROI, it runs on different levels, but it's very important to especially these small businesses that are still struggling in this economic climate.
I can see some interesting viral marketing opportunities there where you're sending phones around to the customers.
Well, I'm sure Sue would love us to just start shipping VVXs to people as like a free trial of the month. I don't think she would object to that.
Well, to Sue, how do you see this offering and being enhanced? Polycom's drive into kind of getting into small businesses enhanced by the 8x8 virtual room.
Well, you know, I agree entirely with what Brian and Ira said about the deployment options and, you know, really having a need for driving improved productivity. So whether it's remote teleworkers or service workers that are going to be out in field service, or to be able to attract employees who might not be near the corporate headquarters or near our multiple locations, video communications gives a wide variety of improvements to the way SMBs function. And what I see about the virtual room and what we're really excited about is it represents yet another deployment option for our SMB customers. Historically, they would have done that CapEx investment. They would have purchased the endpoint video equipment like Brian's HDX or my VVX phone, but they would also have the IT requirement to manage that environment and infrastructure on site. So now they get all the business benefits that we've talked about here. They get all the quality, the interoperability, the open standards to connect to anyone on any device, and they get that through an on-demand as I need it type of service, which is a terrific deployment option and alternative for our customers instead of that on-premise approach. So it opens a wide market for all of us. So I find that really exciting because it allows, whether it's that single office, it's that real estate firm, it's that professional services environment, that law firm, anyone who has a combination of multiple locations, remote employees, people who are on the road, or just a need to drive improved productivity and increased collaboration, this is a terrific alternative for them.
Well, Brian, I see that 8x8 has broadened its service offerings, going from hosted voice over IP call centers to cloud computing. We talked to Andy about that, as we mentioned. But now you're into this cloud video. So can you kind of explain the strategy, the company's strategy behind these offerings?
Yeah, we want our customers to be able to connect, whether it's voice or video or their cell phone connection, could be messaging, video, voicemail, wherever they are, and be able to use whatever equipment they have available. We're able to provide a service like this because we're incorporating Polycom's UC Intelligent Core into our cloud. And so without that, we wouldn't be able to bring the breadth of solutions that can connect to this service. Things like, if you remember the days of H.323 endpoints that are out there, there's still a ton of those video conference rooms, video conferencing centers, devices that use H.323. 8x8 has been a big proponent and has really seen the development of what's called Session Initiation Protocol, or SIP, really kind of take over the voice world. And you're left with this kind of video and multimedia world where there's a lot of different standards out there. And so, the trick here is to make this service as turnkey as possible so that an IT professional doesn't need to get involved, and make the technologies plug and play and just work. And I think that's a big hurdle that this technology's had to overcome, and one of the reasons video conferencing hasn't gotten to the mass market, or certainly hasn't gotten to the small business, is that ease of use. And so we're very happy to be partnering with Polycom's technologies, making it a part of our cloud offering, and hopefully we'll see the adoption rates increase as a result of that. I also think that lots of people have used a PC or web-based solution to do video calls, or maybe call a relative. When you actually see the visual clarity and the capabilities of these telepresence units, even the VVX IP phone that Polycom makes, I mean, you see the difference. It is not a soft client. It is a piece of hardware that's dedicated to processing that media, and it really does make a difference in the quality of the video that you can get. And we're finally at a price point that it's going to open it up to a whole new group of people that haven't been able to invest in that in the past.
Well, and I guess we will see this. We'll be online here. So I want to thank all of you for being here. And why don't you tell us again where you're calling in from?
So I'll go first. I'm in Sunnyvale, California. And again, I'm using a Polycom HDX 8000 video conferencing system.
And I'm in Westminster, Colorado on a Polycom VVX IP phone.
And I'm in Philadelphia, and I'm also using a VVX video phone from Polycom.
So thanks everyone again for joining me on this conference call. This is Ken Pyle with VOD TV from Polycom's Executive Briefing Center in Santa Clara, California, saying so long.